Well, hello.
Hello, everyone.
We're live. We're sitting here just staring, going, hi.
We are live.
We're live. And you'll be watching us in 3, 2, 1. There we go. So, because we have a little bit of a delay, but here we, and you got us on display. Oh, very nice. So we are here and we had a hell of a week, did we not?
Mm-hmm.
And I swore in the first 5 minutes, so there goes my monetization. I can't even say the word. But I would have a lay on, but I can't wear a lay right now because of the fact that I have a mic on and you would not be able to hear me. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Good. So I have it wrapped around the microphone down here. As you see, Steve's got a lay on, and then Nikki will have one on. Oh, she's got it on her. Anyways, I'm so excited for the show because not only are we going to be talking about how you can entertain outside doing it vintage style with Nikki over there, but we also had a great weekend. We were we were at the Michigan Vintage Pyrex Spring Swap. And so we're going to have, a little bit to show you with that in a minute. But you didn't get to go.
Nope, I had to work.
Well, I worked too, but I came back for it.
He gets the fun stuff.
I get the fun stuff. Listen to him. But we had a lot of the Pyrex shoppers. Yes, you do get to shop because I don't go out in the mornings and shop. Steve does all the buying here.
You're not allowed to spend money.
No, I know, right? So she said, if you guys didn't hear her, she said, I'm not allowed to spend money on product, that is. But because I spend enough money otherwise.
Unless it be bugs.
No, but I pay all the bills. So I'm spending money on that. So anyways, we got some videos and we had a lot of people come in and shop from it.
We always get a lot of carryover from them. And in fact, the organizers of it suggest people come here.
And they have even prior to us doing the show and having
we had a lot of them coming in because a lot of places don't handle single lids for Pyrex, and we had a lot of people in going to our lids. We're actually kind of low on lids now.
Yeah,
that's good. They got mate pieces too, stuff that was missing or broken. That's nice.
And I got to show a couple of people about Peak.
Oh yeah, about the Peak as well. So that's pretty cool. Still waiting to hear back from them. And so we got that stuff for you, as well as we're going to be talking about some product over here. But we're also going to be introducing the very first small clip from the upcoming show, Mad for Mod, which will be airing next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, which is a different time from when we normally air. But that's okay because we are still going to have our show next week, which will be Father's Day. And but then right after our show is over at 7:30, starting at 8 o'clock, the Mad for Mod show will go live. And we got to spend the afternoon with Andy Schulist and Tony Couchman and got to go through all their really cool stuff. And if you're a mid-century modern fan or a pop art fan, then this show is for you.
70s kitsch.
Or 70s kitsch, then this show is for you because you don't want to miss it. I've actually had several people calling and asking when the show's going to air because one of the coolest parts of the show that's going to be coming up, and it's only 40 minutes long, you guys. It took us all afternoon to make it 40 minutes long. So, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Isn't that lovely?
You were talking about
if you're a mid-century fan.
If you're a mid-century fan, pop art fan, the show is for you. You cannot miss it. It will be on again, I must say, and we'll be showing you the clip as well as some of the graphics towards the end of the show. Yeah,
it's an incredible collection.
It's an incredible collection.
Truly incredible.
Yeah. So one of the things that we run across here in the store, because we like to do a little talking back and forth, is we sell vintage clothing here, right? And so we get a lot of people who go through vintage clothing, and we notice when people, when you're pulling clothing out, that's one thing. It doesn't always go back in, but when you're unfolding sweaters and pants and stuff like that to look at it, and then you ball it up and you throw it. I don't understand that. Do you understand that?
I don't.
Nikki, would you ever do that?
It's modern retail. People are used to just going to Old Navy
and doing that
back in a pile and watching the poor people refold them 100 times.
It's horrible because even at Old Navy, even at Walmart, I don't care. People fold those and stuff, and I get that you want to look at them and stuff. Give it back to us.
It's time consuming though. Like you should
give it back to us.
Like throw it on the floor like your laundry at home.
No, and if you don't want to fold them, that's fine. We'll fold them for you, but we'd rather find them.
I think it boils down to poor upbringing.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, of course.
It is. It does. It does. You know, and we actually have a parent here, so it is part of. I would say that, but none of us have
Yeah,
kids.
we all just have cats.
We all just have cats.
They just like knocking shit off the table.
Yep. But so you know, when you go into stores like this, when you go into any stores, you know, we beg you, please be respectful. We don't expect you to fold our clothes. That's not what I'm saying. But if you are unfolding something, even if you don't fold it like we do, at least attempt and set it back in there.
I just had it happen tonight. Somebody was wadding up a sweatshirt and just stuffing it back into a shelf.
Yeah.
I said, just throw it on the floor. I'll get it later.
He did say that. Isn't that hilarious? I love it. And we're not on.
Apologize.
Isn't that funny? I love it. But and we're not on here to bitch about customers. No, not at all. We love our customers.
This is not the norm. This is
It's just I'm sure we run into this in every walk of life when it comes to clothing. So but like I said, we have a big show for you tonight. And well, tell me first. Let's start off this way. We're going to turn a little bit, and as you can see, we're sitting here next to a Coca-Cola cooler with well, it's a pitcher that with some beautiful flowers that Nikki's other half brought us, and then some glasses. But Steve, tell me, this Coca-Cola cooler is pretty damn cool. When is it from?
Well, this one is probably from the 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell based on the shape and by the manufacturer. These changed very little. I mean, there'd be basic differences in the height and the squatness versus the tallness.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, when you're looking for these, what you want to look for is if it has a shelf inside for the inside tray, which you're usually missing.
As you can see, we have stuff sitting on this one.
But more importantly, the biggest thing that people don't check on these is these are usually relegated to the garage.
Mm-hmm.
They sit on cold concrete. The underside of it is unpainted galvanized steel. And what ends up happening is they build up water condensation, and they are notorious for rusting out. So you could have one that looks perfect in every aspect on the top, but if you look at the bottom underside, you'll see either rust holes or big spots of rust all over
this is the drawer you're talking
this
about.
This has the tray, which is a huge plus.
Mm-hmm.
When you'd go on a picnic back in the day, you didn't want all your stuff that was supposed to stay cold to get wet like it would on the bottom with the drinks.
So would the rust be down there?
No, the rust would be on the underside.
On the underside. Can we lift it up?
Here, hold on.
Okay.
This is where you want to look for the rust. Is down here.
Okay, so because that way
this one is painted. A lot of times they're not. But yeah, this one has a little bit of rust on the side here, but usually these whole panels will rust out, or it'll rust all along the sides, or you'll get little holes everywhere, which eventually turn into bigger holes.
And then won't hold the water for the ice.
Yep.
And I love that has a drainage.
Yep. And this one is made by Acton. This is an Acton, which is a fairly prolific maker of these.
Bottle opener.
I see the bottle opener on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another plus.
Bottle
a lot of
opener.
people like the bottle opener.
The drainage.
Like these little guards, these little corner guards. They actually kind of date it.
Clever design. It's a big cooler. We both just lugged it back and forth a lot. So like the tray you could take out, and like if you got the cooler sitting over in the shade, but you want to carry a couple drinks and a little bit of your snacks, like you said, that aren't down in ice, then you can use the tray.
Can we hear? Can we hear her? Okay. Okay. Good.
Well, the tray I think was for sandwiches and food.
But I mean,
Yeah.
pick that up and move it instead of the whole cooler.
Right. And as you can see, the lid is here and it's in great condition. We're just using it as a backdrop.
The other thing that happens on these is this lid is a little bowed out, and people sit on it, and then the whole thing bows in, and you can tell when someone's usually sat on one.
And you guys see me typing. I'm typing in, you know, like getting people to come on and stuff. Can you add some stuff? Okay. So I'm going to set this stuff back up here real quick before we go on. So here we have a beautiful vase. Now, this is not a standard vase, as you see. This is a pitcher, a water pitcher. And it actually has, which is a great way as we segue into outdoor entertaining with a vintage flair. This is a great way usage of maybe you just have an extra pitcher, something like that you can put onto the table with flowers in it. It adds to it, I think. This one, however, has an entire set of glasses that goes with it. And
it's kind of a lemonade set.
Yep, a kind of a lemonade set. And then I have 2 other glasses sitting here, which we'll talk a little bit further in depth with these. These are the coolest things in the world. As you can see, they go on the bottom of your glasses, right?
Cozy. Yeah.
Cozy, kind of a cozy. But how cute would this be if you have a luncheon outside and you have the girls over, you have the people over, or you have all my friends over, and
It's almost like the wine glass stem charms. You can keep, if you have all the amber glasses and that's what everybody's drinking out of, you have the different color cups on the bottom.
Right, to keep and know whose is whose. Yeah. Absolutely. I love them because they add kitsch to your table, and I'm a whole big one on kitsch. I love kitsch.
They're kind of a glorified coaster too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It catches the condensation running down the side of the glass.
I love them. When do you think they're from? 70s?
60s.
60s, 70s. Made in the USA, and they are the what does that say? Okay.
DAPOL plastics.
DAPOL plastics, but they're literally just adds a pop of color and a little whimsy to your table. I love it.
And a little protection for the glass.
Exactly.
If you're poolside and you set it on the cement with the glass, won't scratch it up.
Exactly. So a lot of fun stuff. I love the thing with the cooler. The cooler is fantastic.
People love the old coolers.
They do. And so we also get these that don't have the Coca-Cola symbol in them.
Well, yeah, a lot of times people just want them to go in their old vintage cars. They like, back in the day, it was kind of picturesque or nostalgic for people to go off and go on a picnic, and they'd take the old
cooler with them
in the back of the car, and they'd have the
like, even if it's in your backyard at a barbecue, vintage style. Because if you're doing a vintage like look in your yard for a barbecue or something, these are reproductions that we carry, small reproductions that are really cheap pickup, and they give you the look of vintage that you can put on your fences outside.
You decorate the side of the shed or the patio if you're going for like a vintage theme, and then you don't have to worry about the rain damaging the actual vintage metal sign. Now,
one of the other things with these is good is because not everybody has the money to buy the originals, because they can be expensive. They can be really, really expensive.
Well, and they're just not out there.
No. And yeah, that's true. And if you're just doing it for a summer event, you don't want, and otherwise you're not going to have it in your yard. Right. These are a great tool. That's why we carry these. So that way
you can change them out more if they're there.
Exactly.
You can swap them out when you want to.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of people, not even when they're entertaining, for a specific event,
these are only $10.
Like putting this kind of stuff on the cyclone fence between the garage and the house. They just like to give it
memories,
that aesthetic, that nostalgic aesthetic.
And I can't believe I remembered those, because I told Roberto, I said, I'm going to set these here, and I'm going to totally forget them. And in 2 weeks, I'll see them there. But you know what? I just set them here, so they'll be there next week.
Yes, you will.
I'll turn around and go, oh, look, from last week's show. That's what it will be. So why don't we, like I said, we spent some time at the Michigan, it's such a long name, Michigan Vintage Pyrex Spring Swap. So I'm going to ask Roberto, please throw to the video. This is me talking to Sam, who was one of the organizers that was there. She unfortunately could not make it here the night that we had them on the show, because she is a teacher, and you will hear that all right here. Jason here from TWL, and I get to spend a few hours here at the Pyrex Swap in St. Louis Shores with Sam. And Sam is one of the organizers who couldn't be with us last week when we had you guys on the show, because you're a teacher and you were teaching. So that is more important, of course. Just a little bit, right? And this is her booth. And look at all this fabulous stuff. And you said favorite piece, balloons.
Balloons. I love turquoise.
The turquoise balloons, and this is a chip and dip.
Yes, it is.
So you still need to find.
I have the whole set at home with the original bracket.
Very good. Love that. And I love the kitty cats, the
Lipper and Man.
Lipper and Man. And then this I got to point out too, because this is a napkin holder, and it's not like your normal napkin holder. You actually have to slide them through the dresses, so it almost gives her that thick flare look.
Absolutely.
I love that. So come on down, because when you come to the Pyrex Swap here in St. Clair Shores, which runs till 3 o'clock.
Yes.
Till 3 o'clock, so you got plenty of time. you're going to see a lot more than Pyrex here. You're going to see everything vintage because if you love Pyrex, you love vintage.
100%.
You love vintage.
Yes, I absolutely. I love it because of my dad. He's the reason that I do
Look
all
at
of
this.
this. That is my dad.
Wow, that's very nice.
And the constellation, the rare piece,
Uh-huh.
that goes with those stars. And that's because I found it with him.
That is fantastic, and you have it on your nail. and
Yes,
everything.
I have it on my nail.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me. Wasn't that tattoo crazy? You know what? That was one of the most lifelike tattoos I've seen, and I love the fact that she had the atomic, one of the prints behind her, the starburst behind his
that
head.
makes a neat backdrop.
It was a really cool. So look what we have here. A ton of stuff here. So this is the type of stuff that we brought out. Nikki and I went through, and we picked these types of things to talk about with the vintage. Entertaining outside. First of all, on the microphone over here, which I'm going to bring over so that we can hear everybody talk pretty good. But I'm going to also show you, I have a little thingy here, right? And this would originally have been for cigarettes.
You know, they clip on the aluminum
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the best part is they clip onto your lawn chair
So
leg or arm or.
if you have a barbecue, you're entertaining outside, and you're sitting in one of the old school metal folding chairs.
God forbid you couldn't have a cigarette.
Right?
Right.
Exactly.
Always.
So these are good, and you know what? I'm going to tell you, even if you're not a smoker, these are good for you guys to have on your chair to throw little garbage in, stuff like that, especially if you have kids.
Those are almost big enough to be a mini ice bucket.
Yeah.
Just for one bottle of 7-Up or a
Yep.
can of Coke or something.
That's also here.
Yeah.
For a can. So what these were for is back in the 70s and 70s. Yeah. So back in the 70s, you would be sitting at the beach. You'd go to the lake here in Michigan. There's a lake every 5 feet. So you go to the lake. You'd open your folding chair. The kids would go running, and you would have your coffee, your beer, and your cigarette. And that's the 70s for you, was it not? And so they would be sitting there, and that way they're not polluting, and they're throwing it in this, and their beer's in this.
Always at hand.
Yep. So today it can be pop and ice.
Yeah.
Or it can be anything, or little toys for the kids to play with, something like that. But these are really good and very, very useful today, and even if you're not a smoker.
Oh, so delightfully white trash.
It is. I love that because that will come in. I'm going to say if you have a mullet. No, I'm kidding. Now I'm going to be banned for that. No. What's that?
I said I don't mean that negatively.
Oh, no, not at all.
From
So
barbecue chic.
barbecue chic. I love that. So what else? What do we have here, Nikki? Tell me.
So he gave me the rundown earlier this
Mhm.
week that it finally got nice out. It finally feels like summer, so we figured we would do vintage outdoor entertaining in
Correct.
particular with the vintage flair.
Mhm.
I've been to a few theme barbecues, kind of everybody dressed like Mad Men, or
Right.
in fact, even this dress I've had for a few years because
Mhm.
somebody had a.
I know. I was
baby
going to say,
shower.
does she not scream vintage like she's going to
Well,
walk
this is
out
the
with a
only
tray
thing
of
I
stuff?
have. The rest of this is all
Time warp.
here from Time Warp.
Mhm.
Here from Time Warp. So if you need costuming, I mean, even the sunglasses, how cute are these? You can get a lot of accessory items here if you're going to a theme party or brunch. So we went with kind of picnic, kind of a few things from the indoors. I mean, you could flat out lay the picnic blanket on the ground and have a real picnic, or you could entertain at your picnic table or patio set. So we tried to find a lot of things that aren't breakable, for one, because outside and next to the pool, you want things that, you can pass around easily that aren't breakable. But we do have a few nice glass pieces. And some of the vintage staples, like, from our childhood,
Mhm.
the handy ice bucket that you always have to have on hand
Mhm.
for cocktails. This one's
You know
kind
what?
of
Those can
iconic.
hold ice. Those can hold juice bags. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
put those in there for
Or
the kids.
Even the little freeze pop
Or
things
freeze
would be
pops,
cute
freeze
in a
pops.
vintage ice bucket.
Yep.
This is kind of an iconic vintage
Yeah. So
pattern.
the spaghetti ware, right? So this is spaghetti ware, and I got to tell you, these are one of the best. They're the best.
Yeah.
They're the best. So they've got a rubber feel, so they've got grippy. So even though you don't want glass at a pool, if you take these to like the beach or something, because back then there wasn't a lot of plastic. But if your hands are wet, I should say,
Yeah.
these are made so that they will help the gripping of them because it feels like almost like a plastic.
It's a plastic coating. Then they drizzle that white over it.
And these are from the 60s, the 1960s. So, I mean, these are just cool today.
Oh yeah, I've loved those. My grandma had them, and then I had to like get them again when I started
Really back in
entertaining.
They really
They're
are. That's a
very
good way to
popular
put
again
at
right
it.
now. These as well. Anything with like the wood look.
And it holds perfectly
Yep,
in
our
here.
little flower
Look at
cups.
that.
They fit on everything.
These are generally siesta wear.
Siesta wear.
They usually put those wood panels around there.
Very 70s.
Oh yes, but like how cute with a drink umbrella and a
Yep.
specific cocktail.
We didn't
and
grab
you
any
still-
umbrellas.
I know.
We have a ton of them too. So tell me, so you got some cookbooks here.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a favorite thing that you cook when you're doing something outside?
I mean, if we either host or go to, a backyard cookout barbecue, I think, burgers, dogs,
Yep.
coleslaw. So I tried to grab cookbooks that have some of the classics in it. I mean, this one is literally favorite brand name grilling. But we've got our good old Betty Crocker cookbook over there.
And then barbecue cookbook.
Metropolitan cookbook.
I'm dying over this. And the reason I'm dying over this is because when you see the Mad for Mod show, you're going to see a lot of him in there, meaning a lot of Big Boy in there. But I love the Big Boy barbecue books. And so it tells you how to. Oh, it's not.
No, I don't think it's Elias Brothers.
Well,
movie.
that's
It's just
interesting.
Big Boy barbecue.
But still, it's a Big Boy
Yeah.
because you're out cooking.
Right.
Right. So you've got great ideas. And one of the main things that I think is important, that when you're planning a vintage outdoor party or something that is a throwback, that maybe make it, if not the whole meal, then make an appetizer that would have been popular back then.
Yes.
Stay away from the bologna molds.
Everything in aspect. Yeah, the
Yes.
gelatin molds that also had, tuna salad for some reason. Maybe not do those unless it's just.
So
fun.
I'm thinking like this here with the ice cream floating in it.
The sherbet punch. Yeah.
The sherbet
So
punch.
cute. And speaking of sherbet, we've got.
Oh,
Everybody remembers the drinking glasses in the metal,
Mhm.
but we've got the cute little Sunday
Anodized
cups.
aluminum.
Yeah.
anodized
called?
aluminum.
Anodized aluminum.
Thank you. I never remember. I just say those metal cups from when we were kids.
These are good too because you can throw these in the freezer,
Yes.
especially the drinks, the cups,
Yeah. They stay
and
nice
then they
frosty.
stay cold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then I see that we have a whole selection of these. These are just standard plastic
Insulated tumbler.
insulated tumblers.
And the wicker ones.
The
are all
wicker.
plastic as well.
So-
a little bit of Tupperware just in case, for snacks outside.
I'm dying. Who remembers these? Raffiaware. Who remembers these? Because you have to remember these.
Most people do.
Everybody had these. I mean, we at one point had the tray, everything,
Yes.
right?
I have a picture in like 12 glasses in different colors.
They're crazy. I love
They make different
those.
sizes of glasses.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
do.
have the more like tall, skinny tumblers, but I've seen.
All I have right now
mugs.
is the coffee mugs. So we
Yeah.
brought those just so that you could see them. But some of the other things we have is, theme your if maybe it's a tiki theme,
Mhm.
right?
Now, that's actually more 80s.
This is more 80s, but still rather
Pink
it's
flamingos are very.
it's 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We are 2025, so maybe you take all of those decades and you make a mash of
Sorta, Golden Girls.
vintage.
Mashup.
Yes,
You
a
have the
mashup
Golden
of
Girls
it.
shirt on,
But
and
I gotta show you. Look at that. Isn't that
makes me think of
fantastic?
something they would drink
80s with the and then absolutely you can continue on with your tiki theme. These are from WonderCon. These are 1990s,
Late 90s, early 2000s.
late 90s, early thousands. They're from Tiki Farm, which is a very very famous and popular tiki maker.
Mhm.
But these are from WonderCon, which was in Anaheim. In California, I don't think they have WonderCon here. They might, but
I'm sure.
it's a Comic-Con. It's
At Balboa Park.
well, Comic-Con's at Balboa Park, but WonderCon's in Anaheim in LA. It's a smaller version of Comic-Con, but it still has some great tiki things. And speaking of that, we've got the pineapple plates as well, which are really cool. And these are Ceramic Studios of Ohio, and they made pineapple plates. Isn't that hilarious?
They made a whole. We had
I love
a
it.
line of that stuff.
Yes.
Pineapple bowls,
Mm-hmm.
plates.
And then I could go on with the tiki because we have a whole bunch of different tiki things over there that you could add to your party to make it a little bit more Hawaiian themed, maybe a Polynesian theme. something to that effect.
What you got to remember and look for and bear in mind is that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, a lot of ladies had bridge parties and different types of card parties where they entertained all their lady friends, where all the husbands were out making the money and the women didn't have to do anything all day. So they would just entertain at home. And a lot of what they did was luncheon sets. It was usually a plate that had a small area for food, and then there was usually a spot for the cup to go. And ladies could carry this from table to table as they were playing their games. And that transfers over to being able to use outside for barbecues and things like that.
Exactly.
So you can find sets of 4, 8, 12, or you can even accumulate 1, 12, 18, 16 yourself. But it gives people the convenience of walking around with their plate and their drink on one piece.
Which is really nice. Because on something like this, where you have this is your paper plate holder, right? And you've got a handle, which is great. But where do you put your drink if you're doing something? You've got two different hands. Where
back then the paper plates were really shoddy.
They were. I mean, they were crap. But still, at least it's got a handle, right? And it's in a fish design. So these are always good.
And these are like Texas ware look, kind of. Right?
Yeah, a harder plastic.
Yeah.
So before we move on, you have a tip, because as you can see, because when people are cooking and having fun, the kids have to be doing something. So we got a whole bunch of Frisbees, from Street Jam. Isn't that hilarious? And if you saw our ad earlier, our live earlier, we got a bunch of McDonald's stuff. Michael Jordan,
right?
McDonald's. All these different ones, Coca-Cola, all these different ones. But what is she came up with this great idea.
I laughed because he said, I want to grab the Frisbees for the video. And I was like, for snack plates? And he's like, no, silly, because playing outside, during a barbecue, the kids need outside toys. I said, no. I have memories of my friend's mother making our bologna sandwiches and our potato chips and serving them to us on the Frisbees. And you couldn't play until you ate. So, I mean, like good old Wonder Bread, plain bologna sandwich, Lay's potato chips, and we would eat off of the Frisbees in the backyard, because then she didn't have to worry about us bringing the plates back in the house, throwing the
love that
plates,
too.
and then we could play.
And then Steve goes, well, what if they didn't eat everything?
I said, well, then
you don't get to play because you don't have the Frisbee.
Or it keeps us occupied.
What a great idea.
While we wait that, colloquial hour to go in the pool.
What a great idea. So one of the things that you have here is this small one, this Tupperware one. And the reason we brought this over is because the Tupperware is a huge, important part of outside entertaining, especially with a vintage style, because you got to go home with stuff.
Yes.
Or you're bringing stuff.
You're bringing things, or you're leaving your leftovers, or you're taking leftovers.
Is this a salesman sample?
No, it's a child set.
So this is a child set. But this would be great for a one piece of pie or a cupcake. But we brought it over so that, along with these here, so that that when you are going to a luncheon or a barbecue or something, take some of the Pyrex or the Tupperware with you, because they may not have good enough stable stuff to bring stuff home with.
When the girls mentioned that last week, they said people will buy up extra casserole dishes, Corningware, Pyrex, because you don't always get your things back when you leave dishes, either at a luncheon, a barbecue, a funeral. So same thing, like you can find slightly used Tupperware and vintage pieces.
I know people who will throw down if they do not get their Tupperware.
Right. So buy some extra pieces.
I do. I know people who will throw down
that aren't from your favorites, and use those, because then if you're leaving them at your friend's house, then you have extra pieces to kind of pass along.
You'd be surprised how many people.
Well, thank you, Jessica. What a fun topic. No, I was just reading.
I just said you'd be surprised how many pieces of Tupperware I find at garage sales with big letters and names on them and black magic marker right across the top.
I tell you, it's almost like it's the Tupperware, and it doesn't even have to be expensive Tupperware. I know people who will go nuts over something they just bought cheap at a dollar store.
It might just be your favorite.
Or the fact that you don't have it now.
But I love them. I mean,
but I do. It's hilarious. I know people who will throw down. So speaking about, we showed you a little bit of the Pyrex stuff, and I had to, because you cannot have an outdoor party without a piece of Pyrex, right? And this time what I did is I grabbed what is that? The golden butterfly? The golden butterfly juice holder. And I grabbed this because this is great to have some iced tea in. or some juice for the kids or whatever.
Or a pre-mixed cocktail.
Yep,
and then
or a
take it
pre-mixed
outside,
cocktail.
ready to pour.
One of the things I love about this is this lid, because this lid is suctions
you
in.
Hear it.
Yep. But this right here, you literally can sit. It's made for a cup.
Everything's
It's
a cup
what
holder.
is so hilarious. So, you know, Pyrex, Tupperware, these are the things you used back in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and the 80s. You know what I mean? And they came house to house, door to door to sell you these things. Both, well, not the Pyrex, but the Tupperware.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
So,
and Steve mentioned the luncheon sets. When
yes.
Lily was hosting a
I
Tupperware
have a luncheon
party,
set right here.
everybody would sit in her living room, and they'd have their little snacks and their tea in the living room where they were doing the sale.
Watercress sandwich.
Exactly.
It all
With the
ties
crust
back
cut
together.
Exactly. So, speaking of luncheon sets, and then I'm going to go grab a hat that I made for a different show during a luncheon set. And I'll have to get it.
Does it fit better than mine?
Well, it doesn't, because a piece of it broke, but I still have to show it to you. So you were talking about luncheon sets, right? So this is a luncheon set. Do we have this is a four place setting luncheon set. There's 3 other dishes that have different flowers on them. And so something like this would have been used at luncheon with the women, right? Back in the day with the ladies. And something like this would be for maybe the cookies or the little whatnots, the sandwich, the actual main course. And then you would have your probably tea or coffee or your hot toddy.
Bamboo Formica tables.
Yep.
For Golden Girls.
It most certainly would. As you can see, that's why I'm wearing my Golden Girls shirt. And that's why I gave her a fan to fan herself, because doesn't she look like she should be fanned?
I should be in Miami right now.
Here's that. And then one of the things is, because a lot of people grew up with pools, and back in the 1950s and 60s, a lot of people grew up with pools. And so growing up with a pool, I just heard how expensive it was, so I don't want one. But you do not put glass next to a pool.
No.
You do not do that. So even though they may have done it back then, this I would not recommend if you're going to have a barbecue out by the pool. If you were out by the pool, I would recommend stuff like this here, which these are what, 1980s? 1980s plastic. These, and you still get the vintage vibe, and you're going to use something to this effect, or the tall glasses of the raffia ware, stuff like that, and stay away from the glass.
And they look like glasses.
But
they're safer.
Right. And with us being in St. Clair Shores, the boating theme is absolutely necessary.
Sailboats, shout out to our city.
These are good if you are going to take people out on the boat.
Yes.
Because you don't want to put glass.
Float too.
They do float. Overboard. Absolutely. So, because when you drop your drink in, you don't want to lose it.
Right.
Do you know one time? So I got to tell you this. One time we were on a boat, on our friend's boat. Remember this? One of my glasses.
Very well.
So we were on my friend's boat, and we were parked outside of Art Van's home, which is a little sandbar out in Lake St. Clair. And I looking over the side of the boat, right? These ones are back doing something. I'm looking over the side of the boat because I thought I saw something. My glasses fell off my face and into the water.
You lost something?
And I about had a heart attack, I'm telling you. But I'm going to tell you, these are the same glasses.
Okay.
I literally found them. I dove right in, did I not? I literally, as soon as they fell, I went overboard too with them. And I literally walked around very slowly until my feet touched stuff, and I'd pick it up with my toe and I would look at it, rock. It took me maybe 10 minutes. I found them. I couldn't believe it. But what's ironic is a year later, Lori lost her sunglasses, and I found them the exact same way. All out in the sandbar. I've never found stuff in lakes. That's craziness. So anyways, be very careful and put a strap around when you're...
Or get yourself a pair of fun...
Yeah, well, these I have to be able to have to see.
You can replace these.
I have to be able to see out of them. But these are really good for that. And so are these. So are the plastic there, because they float. So you can recollect them. They're not going to break. They're not going to hurt anyone. They're not going to, and when we're out and we're either on the boat or or we look at that. I'm looking over at the cards and they're off follow. Never mind. the trading cards. So I know I'm standing here talking. It's almost feel like I'm doing some speech, and I stop and I go, "Oh, look, there's a mess over there." But anyways, behind her there's stuff too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
hand me
there's
that
some
Ford
other
thing.
things. Here's a fun, also local. Oh, the lid's coming
So
off.
check this out. So one thing about this is it's Ford, as you can see. Ford put this out.
It was probably given as a gift to employees or people who bought the cars.
Right. They didn't put it out for sale. But then you have a lid. And these are a picnic in one. Because inside you have the little bowls. And then inside here, can you hold that for me? You have all of your plates still in the package. Then you have a serving tray. You have a serving tray. And then under that, you have your bowls,
And little utensils.
utensils,
Oh,
cups,
nice.
and a salt and pepper shaker.
That's a very
And it's
complete-
all in one container. Look at this. It's literally in one container. So you put it back in like this, and then this one goes here. And then this one goes back on the top. And that is the first, we've had these every year, and that is the first time I've actually put it back together.
That's so cool.
Can you believe that?
Very
Usually
clever
it
design.
takes me forever, and then you have a strap and you're done, you walk away. They knew how to do this type of stuff back then. I mean,
That would be great for the boat too, because it's very
Wouldn't
compact,
it?
all packs up easy, one little thing to carry.
and I love it because you can get these in every color. Now, this one was probably a giveaway from Ford to the families, but these come in balls. They're the ball picnic
There's a lot of different companies that make them, and they've been making them
Tons.
since the 60s.
since the
This
60s.
is probably an 80s or 90s version.
Is it? But still, it's a picnic in
Very
one.
cool. Super fun.
Absolutely.
Isn't that fantastic? And we probably have a few more of those around.
We got
So-
2 or 3 of the ball.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of the ball ones.
Well,
And then
let's see
look
what
at
else.
this.
Again, with going with if you have a color theme or a scheme going on, we've got the old paper, like the cotton back tablecloths.
Mm-hmm.
And then this set goes with the tiki stuff we were talking
does.
about.
And all pure linens. Look at this. They knew how to do this. You've got your placemats, your linens, your knife set, and I mean, can you imagine? I wish that I could walk into somebody, come on over for lunch, and all of a sudden it's all set up like a
Right.
luncheon,
Well, and
right?
this right here, if you get something like this, that gives you your entire like color scheme, and you can base everything around that. Like that's a real vintage color palette.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the right look, and then you can just mix and match everything that kind of has the same oranges and greens, the bamboo.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean this
That's
tablecloth
fantastic.
goes with it.
It sure does. Look at that.
Very coordinated.
So and then you have this and this, and then these because they match. So you see, you're starting to coordinate your
This looks pretty.
luncheon
The antler
with it.
handles, the wood.
And it's okay if you've got stuff from the 80s, from the 70s, from the 60s, even from today. Add a little bit in. You know what I mean?
The harvest gold, the avocado green, that's all coming back in again.
Absolutely. And you have some trays behind you.
Yep.
Trays are essential. And I say that trays are essential when it comes to entertaining because you need something to carry all this stuff.
Yeah.
So having a tray and a tray that's easily, does that have legs? We do have trays that have legs on them as well. But you know what I mean? You walk out, set it down, people take off their stuff, put it back on here, you walk in with it because you want to try and make it as less walking back and forth as possible.
Mm-hmm. And that one's got the pineapple design in the middle, so it goes
Yep.
with our pineapple plates.
You got to try to make it as easy for the help as you can.
For the you're right.
The help.
You're absolutely right. So but then I grabbed this and people, they're all looking at me weird because you have to yell at your kids somehow, right? What?
Those were a big thing,
How do you do it?
like a kazoo.
Okay, I'm not good at that. Oh, okay, you are. Look at that.
These
Tote bags.
were huge. First time I remember seeing these, 1968 when the Tigers won the World Series. My mom was stuck in traffic at 8.5 in Harbor going home, and people were running up and down the streets when the Tigers won, and they were blowing these things, and they ran across the hood of my car. My mom got out and started yelling at them.
Oh my
But it was just chaos. But I remember all these guys running across the hood of the car, and they had these in their hand as they were running.
Well, if the Tigers do the World Series again, we'll have the noisemakers on hand.
Yes.
I've never seen those.
You wanted to do a shout out to somebody.
Oh yes. Speaking of other pages that do, you know,
I just
lots of social
tagged
media,
her. I did an app for her.
I saw late the night before the spring Pyrex swap. I was scrolling on our page and looking at all the other pages that we follow back and forth, and we share each other's posts. Chic Vintage Auntie. I saw that
Chic Anti-Vintage.
Chic Anti-Vintage, excuse me. Chic, CHIC. She mentioned that she was going to the show, and I commented and I said, "Oh my gosh, we're only a couple miles down the road. Please stop in." And I wasn't here that day, but Jason.
She did stop in.
So
she was a fabulous lady.
That was nice to meet like one of our online store friends, and you know, get people to stop in and see us in real life that we normally just kind of wave via social media together.
I love it when people like that stop in,
Yes.
because then you put a face to the group, or you put a face to the name that you see,
Yeah.
and it almost makes it a little bit more personal.
Yeah, it's nice to meet in person, and then, you know, I mean, we see each other's icons and stuff back and forth and posts, but when you get to actually meet our other vintage friends.
So are you entertaining this year at all? Outside? And outside entertainment?
Probably. It's funny, you were talking about the pools, and you don't want one because they're so expensive.
Yep.
We're having the debate right now. Do we open the pool? Do we tear it down?
Do you have an in-ground, or do you have an
We have a
above?
little above ground.
Okay.
And the only body using it right now is the ducks.
Mhm.
So
Do you have a pool?
Yeah, and we're like,
Yeah.
do we want to go through
Above
it this
ground?
year? Because Dan was deployed last year, and I was home alone, and I swear we have such an open yard. If you miss it for 2 days, the sun beats down, and you have an algae pond. So it's a constant
I
battle.
went to the pool store the other day, and the owner of the pool store said, "My story is the same as every other person that walks in. They have a 30-year-old pool, and they say, I just need to get one more year out of
Yeah.
it."
Well, and last summer was so hot for so many days in a row. I'm like, if we have anything like last summer, it was like 90% humidity. Do we enjoy the pool one more time? So yeah, if we have a pool party, I mean, some of this stuff is definitely great for it. And I love making vintage cocktails. We have vintage cocktail books here.
We do
if I wanna
actually,
try
yep.
new recipes, and like how cute.
Mhm.
I could base a cocktail off just some of the glasses that we have.
What's your favorite on this table?
I love the spaghetti ware.
I do too. I was just going to say the same thing. What do you think?
They're just so iconic.
It's what I remember as well.
The spaghetti?
That
That's
is
so
7-Up
funny.
ashtrays.
Probably second.
The 7-Up ashtrays.
Raffia, secondary. Yeah.
Mine are the tulip. Can you tell the tulip holders? Because I like kitsch. I like anything kitsch,
yeah,
pop
those are
arty, colorful. It's everything that sells so quickly from here. But totes are very good for when you're outside entertaining, especially if you're going to one, or you are
in the pool. You can throw your suntan
Oh,
lotion
yeah.
and your goggles and your towel.
or all sorts of stuff. So vintage totes are always a good thing. Or maybe if you're having an outside gathering, grab some vintage totes, leave them for that way your guests take home something with you, and they can put their carry out or whatever they're taking home with them in the tote you provided, and it's something that they can remember that party by.
Yeah. And recycling.
And you're recycling and using it, which is always a good thing. You know, I grabbed the because I'm a big one for everybody having fun, is of course some pigskin, some footballs, and this is a more vintage, older football, so you would want to get something. When is this one from, Steve?
Probably the 60s.
The 1960s. Look at this on here with the Spalding and all the writing and the varsity, the double line. I mean, that's kind of cool. This one you'd buy and you'd set up, but you know, having sports stuff there is always good, because even if there's no kids and the guys are there, they will go out and play.
Yeah,
or even some of the women
a
will.
ball and a mitt.
I know
People
some
love to just toss something back and forth.
jarts. If I had any, I would show
We
you.
had 'em,
They
and I was
fly out the
really
door.
Hoping that we would display the
They
really,
fly.
really fun toy that those used to be.
They fly out the door. I know. I know some ladies who would sit there and they would have a luncheon like you wouldn't believe, and then get up and fight to the death over a football.
Oh, yeah. Well, croquet.
Croquet.
Yes, croquet.
Right, croquet,
My
right.
friends play croquet again, and bocce ball. Camping. We go up north and we take one hand and
Cornhole run its course.
No, I think
Oh,
that's still
dude.
a thing. There's leagues, cornhole.
So this is called a frosty fruit cooler.
It's very cute. I bet it's tasty.
I bet it's tasty. It's got liquor in it.
then it's definitely tasty.
It's got liquor in it.
I'm surprised you haven't had it.
I'm surprised you haven't made it. So you have the Renaissance Festival coming at the end of the summer. You got to be excited about that. You dress up for that, don't you?
Yes. So speaking of collecting things here, I can always run over to our clothing department if I have any theme party to go to, costume party. I've gotten Renfest pieces here. We'll probably do a show all on
we will.
Both of those
I'm actually
topics.
working working. I'm hoping that I can that she will agree to come on. But her parents worked at the Ren's Fest all her growing up. They were there forever, Kelly, and she's thinking about it. But if so, then I will come and I'm going to do a show at the Renaissance Festival.
It's Detroit, Renfest.
Yeah, the Renaissance
So
Festival.
you'll come visit me at my
And your booth with her, and then with a few other people, and hopefully Kelly will walk down memory lane with me as well. But that's not until the end of the month or end of the summer. So
don't ask where the bathroom is.
No, yeah, that's still a thing.
yeah, don't. Is it still a thing?
Yes.
Okay. So have you been there?
What does that mean? What about the bathroom?
It's
Oh,
They make a big deal out of it.
so the Lou. You want to go? Do they still say the Lou?
Privy.
The Privy. Okay, so if you ask anybody where the bathroom is, they start screaming it, and each person who works there starts to scream it. Then they all come and parade you to it.
Everybody knows you got to pee.
Yes.
Oh,
So, and what's funny is,
There's no shame.
I know, I went to the Renaissance Festival in California, and even though it is a speck of what it is there, they do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Michigan's one of the biggest ones in the country. Like top
Yes.
5-ish. I think Pennsylvania's got
It's
a
so-
suite or something, but yeah.
I don't know. I
the
mean, with
big
that
ones.
being the largest in the Midwest, the second largest or the largest in the Midwest, the St. Clair Shores Memorial Day Parade was the largest in the Midwest.
Right.
We just like to do stuff big.
Got it going on. In it.
Well, we're in the middle of we're in the middle of the country, so we got to make ourselves known, right? And I can't believe he brought all these flowers. How cute
Yes,
with the
thank you,
sunflowers and
Daniel.
stuff.
He's so sweet. We were talking about how, we're entertaining outside, and I said we need flowers in some of these pictures. And so of course, like my poor boyfriend, he's home today. I hit him up and I said, honey, we need flowers to go with our vintage displays. Something summery, something vintage colors, and he did really well. He got a sunflower.
Yeah.
He didn't go to Kroger. He went to Viviana.
I know. I saw the Vivianos.
Did he really?
So,
and they really match the pictures that we have them in.
I sold
So, like,
flowers wholesale. Those are nice.
Great
flowers.
decor.
They're not junk.
No, they're not.
Well,
Really
good job,
good
honey.
flowers.
So we're I'm gonna throw it there in a minute, but we're gonna grab our little holder here and our little, I don't even know where the other one went, to have our beer and cigarette, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that? I love this. I love these. And so many people are like, oh, what's that for? I don't understand. It clips on nicely. As you can see, it clips on nicely. Oh, look, I forgot about the hacky sacks.
More outdoor.
That's what you can hold in these.
There you
The
go.
hacky sacks. Now, hacky sack, I did a whole show on hacky sacks. Can you believe that? I'm not even going to try. Yeah, I can't play those. I'd be breaking everything around me. But while we do that, we are going to show you a video, and then Steve and I are going to go have a seat and talk for a second. Did you show the picture of the Pyrex, the final picture?
I did. We'll do it again. Here.
Real quick, like that is the group. What you're looking at now is the group of people, right?
Yep.
The big group of the all the vendors and workers at the Michigan Vintage Pyrex Spring Swap. They all did this picture. Isn't that a gorgeous picture? Everybody is in it. See?
Yes. Big crew.
Big crew.
Nice venue
So-
too, because you get to see the lake.
Next year you got to see it again. So but in the meantime, we have 2 shows next week. We have this show, which will be Father's Day, and a little bit of 4th of July thrown in. And
Yeah,
then
we're getting
and then at 8 o'clock we are going to be airing the much anticipated Mad for Mod show. So I'm going to show you a little clip from that show right now with me and Andy talking about some of the Whitco pieces he has in his basement. Very heavy carvings with your tiki gods here. And then the top of it. Oh,
I have just mugs. I have a Whitco catalog here. Stuff from the Manalawa and Chintiki.
All right, so give us a little explanation of Whitco and when Whitco's from. I know that Elvis Presley had the Whitco room, and
He
that
did.
kind of helped make it a very popular thing. But I know that we had the Mauna Loa here and Chintiki here.
Correct.
And then there was major tiki places around the country.
Hawaiian Gardens and Holly's another really big one. It was a resort, a hotel, dance floor, a restaurant. I have some memorabilia on the coffee table over there.
That's no longer there.
Back.
All right. So that is just a little tiny clip. I couldn't show you too much because it would give it away. But I did want you to see that Andy Schulis has his own jungle room in the basement. Steve, what did you think of that?
It's more than I've ever seen anywhere. He's got some really cool stuff. And, you know, when you reference the jungle room, if people didn't get that, Whitco is very famous because Elvis had a jungle room at Graceland that was all Whitco. But I think Andy's probably got 2 to 3 times more than what they had there. Just
easy.
Phenomenal collection.
What did you think of the whole thing? Like Andy's home.
What's not to like?
It was just amazing.
It's like a kid in a candy store. The closest thing I've been to what I saw at Andy's was I could touch there. When Dave lets me go down to the Detroit Historical Society's collection, I got to keep my hands behind my back. I can't touch anything. At least at Andy's, I could touch.
Andy, so you like mid-century?
I love mid-century. I've tried a few times in my lifetime to like use it as decor, but I unfortunately also like Victorian Gothic, and even going to school for interior design, I cannot mesh the two. So I need one of those houses that has like the time capsule basement with the shuffleboard floor and the bar built in.
We actually know somebody who has one of those.
One day I will get lucky and have the whole upstairs, all my other decor, and I will have like the Mad Men basement with, you know, the atomic clocks and the cocktail lounge and the sunken fuzzy carpet.
The two things that amaze me the most out of Andy's house that you guys will see next week on the show is the Orange Julia sign.
Yeah.
The Orange Julia sign, which I swear to God has got to be, I don't know, what, 30 feet long?
No.
How it was
You're
big.
talking about the Pharaohs.
No, the Orange Julius was across from it.
Yeah, but the Orange Julius wasn't as big as the Pharaohs, and the Pharaohs was probably only 15.
Oh, really? It seemed bigger.
Well, in the basement.
In the basement, it seemed bigger. It was
elevated.
What do you think each of those are worth?
Oh, there's no way. That Pharaohs he had shipped from California. That came from the Pharaohs in California.
And there are no more Pharaohs, so
there's got to be.
So I've
15, 20.
I've still only seen like snippets. Is their house? Is it like a museum? Is it more like a movie set? A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Like a magazine backdrop.
A little,
lot of big pieces, and he's filled in all the holes and gaps with little pieces.
Nice.
We didn't even get in. He hadn't even prepped the backyard yet.
No.
But his backyard, we could see from where we were standing when we were leaving in the driveway. You could see I think it was a 7 or 8 foot tall fiberglass big boy standing to one side, and he's got
it was almost as tall as the house.
He's got the McDonald Land playscape in the backyard.
In his backyard.
Earlier, I remember the
we
McDonald's.
Didn't even get into that.
We could. It was. He hadn't opened the backyard yet. So like from winter. So everything was still covered up.
At their house this summer.
Well, he keeps his location private because of what he has. But his store has got a ton of stuff in it that is very similar to what he has at home. So, you know, next week you got to watch. So you find out where the store is. You find out when you go. Andy Schulis is one of the nicest guys you'll meet. And he is probably one of the most knowledgeable in mid-century modern and pop art.
So his taste carries over into what he curates his store with as well. Nice.
His store is a lot of kind of somewhat more sedate mid-century, you know, a lot of wood, a lot of teak, but his house is definitely more 70s pop art. What he appreciates for his own needs is really loud, bright, and really cool.
Can you throw up that graphic one more time? And I'm in a delay, so in the graphic that he just threw up, it'll pop up in a second, are some of those pictures. All but one of those pictures are from his home. So you'll see in that graphic.
When you were there, you mentioned like Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
Like Austin Powers. That kind of got that vibe.
It's very
Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Very Brady Bunch.
It's definitely more 70s and 60s than 50s.
Yeah. Now here's the pictures, and like the only picture from the store per se is the one of the two of them sitting in that. All the rest are from the house. So it's all pop pop art coloring. Andy went so far as to, it's just not the items in the house that is that. His wallpaper is, his carpet is, his fixtures
But
are.
he
everything.
appreciates any like old businesses, Detroit names,
Yeah.
especially restaurants. He's a huge fan and collector of Howard Johnson's items.
Mhm.
In fact, he had 2 of the weather vanes in the basement just sitting off to the side.
He did from Howard Johnson's.
peaks.
Mhm. He actually goes to him. But so it's an exciting show. You guys will have to watch it. It is located. His store is located in Livonia, and it's very easy to get to. And the address is on our site. You can take a look and see. But I'm excited, and I do want to give a shout out to my mom because she's had a difficult week, and I want to make sure that she's doing good and that we love you.
Stay cool, Marilyn.
Yeah,
it's warming
because
up out there.
It's been 109.
Give Purdy hugs.
109.
They're over 100.
They're over 100 degrees out in Las Vegas, and it's been a rough week because of how hot it is out there right now. And so yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm happy we did the Pyrex show. We have got a show coming up that is going to blow your guys' mind. I'm not revealing what it is yet, but it is something. It is an on-location show, and we will have Roberto with us filming, as well as the 3 of us. And what I am going to tell you is that it is a Detroit institution.
Yes. Very Detroit.
And
Iconic.
it is world known. It's worldwide known.
Oh yeah.
And we get to go behind the scenes on something you don't get to see that often. So I'm excited about it. That will be announced in the next couple of weeks because we will be filming it actually on the 16th. So we're probably looking another couple of weeks after that. So I'm excited about it. So you'll have to keep that in mind. I do have a couple of pinup shows that I'm involved in coming up in August and September. And then we have the Mad Walk, and of course, the Steve and I will be in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And so it's summertime, you guys. You guys are going to be playing. You're going to be partying. You're going to be out doing fun stuff because it's finally warm outside. Please be safe. We need you all here. Make sure you have a designated driver. That's what I'm asking.
Yes,
you.
please. We joke about, cocktails in the backyard, and make sure you have somebody to hand the keys to.
Or just fall asleep at their house.
Yeah, sleepovers are still a thing. Sleepovers are fun.
Any last words, Steve?
That sounded ominous.
Of the show.
Sir, any last words?
Had a great time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys, and I hope to see you next week. Nikki, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Come see
Roberto,
us for
thank you.
Thank you.
outdoor entertainment.